Welcome back to the Tide Hanger. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you with the weekly news in review for January 14th, 2024, and another relatively light week of news, but there's a lot of stuff to talk about when it comes to Transformers for Masterpiece, a little bit from Legends, a little bit for the mainline. A couple of different Super 7 things going on, but did Super 7 drop Disney? Or did Disney drop Super 7? I'm going to share my thoughts on that whole ordeal. Also getting into the Dungeons and Dragons. This is a whole new Ultimates way they're going. I made a video on it. I have a couple more things to say about it. And then I'm also going to talk a little bit more about the Thundercats Wave 10. There's a new sheriff in town, Dason Toys, which I know nothing about. And I'm a little bit interested in this. I'm going to tell you what I think about this new Bravestarr wannabe. And we've got another cartoon coming, The Revolution, Masters of the Universe. I'm going to watch it. It comes out, well, if I can get access to it, comes out on the 25th of January, I believe. We'll look into this. From Wednesday to, I guess, Thursday, we got the Ramen toy actual first prototype of their Purple Ray, and that was fast. That's all I gotta say. That was fast. Got some pictures to show you. And there is sort of somewhat, somehow, a little bit of sort of Star Wars news. We'll talk about this and more coming up. Right, so what at Show Z is going on this week? And they still have stock of their Fans Toys FT61 Scourge. The price is listed now $190. I'm not sure how that compares with others, but that's what they're charging for it. If you're interested in this, this should start showing up, should start incoming relatively soon. I think everyone's trying to get out ahead of Chinese New Year, but they still have some stock on this. They've already started with the coming soon and payment request for the Big Load, and it's their long haul, and both versions of X Transbots. So you've got the 140 for the standard one, and then you have for the what they call the light one is 110. And I didn't know there was going to be a price difference between these. In fact, that's very good. I thought this was going to be $150 per figure. Now this one is big, and I saw some lady holding a box. It was a big box, but this is impressive that 110 each is much easier to swallow than 140. And if they do this right alongside each other, I've got one of each to come in to see what the difference is between them, but I might just go all light. What in tarnation is coming in soon? Well, this is the TransArt BWM30. I've talked about this in the past, but it is coming in. They're sending the payment request now. $65 for this one, and I'm kind of getting addicted to TransArt. It's the vac metal, but it's also the design. They look really good. Quick strike. So we got a fresh batch of pictures of the Fans Hobby, MB-22 Armada, Jetfire, and if you're into this era, this looks really good. This is very cool what they're doing, and it interacts with other figures and characters and that kind of stuff, kind of like in the original line, I guess. And here he is next to a Prime. That's just Prime, and it looks good. It's big, it's beefy, it's one of those that you would probably be interested in. And then we've got the shuttle mode, which that, from what I remember, that looks pretty accurate. That looks pretty good. So I think they've done a really good job. Fans Hobby done great work with this. All right, so if you still want to consider these Takara MPG's masterpiece, well, we'll call it that, and it's the MPG 07. This one is an homage to a Diaclone colors, and so they're already starting with, my understanding is repaints. Now, I haven't kept up with this that much. I kind of report it, and it goes out of my mind. I'm not in on this set, but I still talk about it. The trains look phenomenal. Here is the train mode, and they look really good. I'm not really even sure what the thing is stuck on the side there, but it has something to do with something. But the train, yeah, the train looks fantastic. Now, this one gives you some alternate torso, so this could be, you could swap this out as your torso, is my understanding, and you'd have more of a Diaclone look. And that is the whole point of having this guy, if that's right. That's what the article said. All right, so we have YOLO Park doing a whole bunch of stuff this week. This is a picture of their AMK ROTB Rise of the Beast Scourge, and it looks to me just like came off the screen. Now, the thing is that what I just reviewed the Megatron, and that's the Pro, and this is just the AMK. Now, I believe these are around the same scale and the same size. I'm not sure why one would get a Pro and this one wouldn't, because this looks like it looks painted well. It looks the part. I don't know why this wouldn't be considered a Pro. Maybe Pro is just going for G1. I don't know. But it looks really good. If you're into this and you're into the Rise of the Beast stuff, then you'd probably be into this. Now, it doesn't transform. None of these transform from YOLO Park. But there's a size comparison to... And really, I can't even identify the other stuff that's on there, so I have no idea what that is. Is that Hasbro stuff? I guess Hasbro stuff compared to Hasbro stuff. All right, so we're going to take a step down into some YOLO Park Legends news, and here we go with their AMK Mini Wave 1. Now, these are G1-ish, a little bit stylized, and they're very interesting. I feel like they're Legends, and I got a couple pictures to kind of show that, but for $63 or something along the lines, and you get 6 of them, I mean, that's not bad. Really, at about 11 or 12 bucks each for these, it's not bad. Now, if you already have a Legends figure of the character, it's probably a little bit more of what you want as a Legends collector than this. Of course, those transform, and this does not, but this is what you have to put together to build it, so this is the building factor of it. And again, it's very similar to the AMK Pro Series that I just put together. Looks like about the same number of steps or so in the assembly process, so you're talking like 2 minutes tops at that. And here's why I feel like they're Legends-ish. So this is kind of how they scale. And yeah, that looks pretty good scale-wise. And I've got this set ordered. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on them, just take a look at them, just to kind of see how they stack up to Legends and all that good stuff. And here's Megatron versus Megatron with the AMK. And there's a lot of people in the camp that if they don't transform, it's not a Transformer. But I don't know. I mean, I'm down for specific characters. I think Megatron, RC, and a handful of others would benefit from not having to transform. Maybe a Hot Rod. We're entering into a new age of KO, possibly upscaling of the new age, theoretically the new age version of the Omega Supreme, the Michael. And with that, they're saying a slew of improvements going to happen with this. So it's going to have alloy gear joints, humanoid head carving headlight with motor guidable, and an add-on will have a target, warrior, countdown, doctor, 2 small people, 4 sets of special effects, and recommended retail price of $329. I don't know $329 what, but anyhow, this is something that could be coming in the future. We got more pictures of current ongoing projects. This is the DX9 version of Chrome Dome, and I have to admit that when I was a kid, I did not like Headmasters. I thought it was a terrible gimmick. I didn't like it, but it sort of fascinates me now. I kind of feel like I missed out on it back then, and I'm catching up on it now, because it's kind of a fun little gimmick, but I absolutely didn't want to have anything to do with it back in the day, and I like this kind of stuff. And I do admit that this car design seems a little wonky. The bot mode is what I care about the most when it comes to this one. This is an update on Rising Force's project for their Minosaur, which it looks like a Minosaur. It's getting the job done. Will be interesting to see when it's fully done and painted and all of that side-by-side comparison with Magic Square and which one wins. But yeah, kind of curious. Magic Square 1's already out, and well, it's out. I guess it's come out and it's gone. So if you want one, it's on the secondary market at this point. But this one is still in the running. I think for them, they're actually timing it relatively well, because if there's not an affordable Magic Square option, then they may sell okay, as long as there's demand for a Minosaur, and there seems to always be. All right, there's DNA Designs upgrade kit for Snarl. It comes with Dino Feed fillers, robot leg fillers, 2 blast effects, new sword, compatible with blast effects, blast effect adapter for Dino mouth, and then new hands to let you hold sword horizontally. Now, this, I usually don't talk about these, but when I'm thinking about this here, I haven't seen this at a retail store at all. I haven't seen anybody boasting about finding it at a retail store. I haven't seen a picture of somebody showing this on a retail shelf. Now, that's just my perspective, and that's my experience. But has your experience been any different? Have you seen this at Walmart, Target, or anywhere? Probably you'll see it at like a specialty shop, comic shop, possibly. but I haven't seen it anywhere. I got mine on BBTS, and BBTS is sold out, and I only got one, so there's not one to open. So it's one of those weird, crazy things. Are they making less of these as they go along? Is this harder to get, or is it just that BBTS didn't order as many, and maybe more coming down the road? I don't know, but I really need that swoop. In hindsight, because hindsight's 50-50, no, hindsight is 20/20 or 21/19. This is Printformers, and they're making a head that pops on Fanstoys. They're giving Fanstoys some head there to pop on to the blaster. Now it's sad that the Fanstoys one and the other one, Deformation Space, was it? Anyway, the other one that was out, they look so similar. I had to go grab Fanstoys and compare it to this picture to make sure it was the Fanstoys one. But, yeah, they're making a head. They're in the process of that. But they were also talking about making a whole figure, which I'm pretty sure it won't transform. I'm not sure if it does or not. But that talks about that, too. But pretty interesting. Do you like the design of this head? It's supposed to be like G1 Marvel comic kind of thing. All right, so there's some sort of mainline stuff. This is kind of still third party, sort of. But this is a Chinese company, Tong Shifu, that is specialized in die-cast statues and have revealed images of their new Chinese warrior Transformers copper statues for the Chinese market. So not going to be very easy to get these in the US if you're after them, but I'm sure there are some places. I mean, we've gotten crazier stuff in the US that is further out. Maybe you'll have to order it through Takara Tomy Mall, or maybe you'll have to order it straight from them, or maybe you have to order it, maybe TF Source gets some, I'm not sure. If you're interested in this stuff, it's just something that's out there. So we have some behind the scenes pictures of this Origins Wheeljack, which is actually really kind of cool. It is quite cool. And the thing about it is that in the bot mode, it's not as good as what they've already given us with the Earthrise. And it's not what they're going for. They're obviously going for the alt mode, which is the star. And it's a great looking alt mode. I like how they kind of simulated some sort of a track there. I don't know if you get a part with that shield that it showed that he has. Do you get that track? So that might be something that's part of it. That's pretty cool. But great to see the first episodes of the show getting the figures that... I mean, I never would have thought this back in 1984, that these figures would get made, and then you can cram your Bumblebee in the back, and that all works. That's pretty cool. Pretty interesting. A lot of fun. And then here's what they've made already, all of those. And if you've picked up each one of these along the way, then you can have all these Cybertronian ones. And Wheeljack, I think, is the most iconic. Like, people think from that episode, Wheeljack. So saving it for last is great. My son was mentioning that it's a Voyager. Looking at this, it does look a lot bigger. But they've never made... I don't think they've ever made Wheeljack as a Voyager. So that would be the first Wheeljack Voyager, if that's true. But anyhow you slice it, I'm going to pick one up. And in bot mode, he doesn't look that much bigger to be a Voyager, but they are kind of basing everything around the alt mode. So it might very well be a Voyager. $35. That's steep. But I don't even think it's going to be a Target exclusive. The other first two were Target exclusives and went on sale for like $9 down the road. And I was kind of hoping the same thing for this, but probably won't see the same fate. All right, so we just got this Transformers crossover collaboration, and they're talking about 3 more projects. Now, that doesn't mean that they're all like this, but there's 3 more 2024 collaboratives being talked about. One's called Project Night, one's called Project Renaissance, one's called Tales. Any info on what you think Night, Renaissance, or Tales would be? I have no clue. I can't decode this stuff. Okay, so Transformers 1 movie is going to have some product with it. I'm going to run through this real quick. This is it's all going to say Transformers Movie 8 Prime Changers. So I'm going to hit these names real quick, if it means anything to you. Admiral, Alphabet, Sergeant, Ace, Overlord, Admiral, another Mega Admiral, Mega Ace, Mega Corporal. There's the 2-in-1 Mask 1, 2-in-1 Mask 2. And then Cybertron Launchers, Robot Battlers, Multi-Pack, Power Flip Admiral, Battle Pack 2, Cog 1-Step Ace, Cog 1-Step Rounder, Cog 1-Step Capital, and there's more. There's the 1-Step Overlord, Admiral, Sergeant, Sergeant, Ace, Alphabet, Corporal, Battling Figures Halfback, Battling Figure Lieutenant, Platoon High Commander, and it keeps going on till you get to Racing Bot Shot, 2-Pack, Blast, Racing Warrior, Changers. What this means is there's going to be a whole slew of product and all kinds of different types of stuff on the 12s. Maybe it's going to engage the kids. Maybe it's not going to engage the kids. How much of it is really targeting the collector? I think none of it. I don't think any of this is targeting the collector. So we're going to see how well this line does targeting just kids. Will be very interesting. It would be very interesting to see how it does, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that pans out. And with that, I'm kind of curious to see what all this stuff looks like. All right, here's another one that I haven't seen in person, but my son said he was with Mom at Walgreens and saw it, and I was like, well, why didn't you get it? Because I don't want it. But Transformers Legacy Evolution Medics found at U.S. retail. If you're in on this, they're showing up. And here's the weird thing. I remember back when they had another one. I think they even named it Medic too, but it was the Ratchet, and they had a Ratchet exclusive, and I found those in droves. But I can't find hardly anything. This is the first thing I've even heard of showing up at a Walgreens in years. All right, so getting into some other alternative news here, other than Transformers, yes, we have something else that transforms. It is the Ramen Toy Purple Ray. On Wednesday, I did a Retro Wednesday talking about a Ramen Toy update, and I want to say they've got a lot going on, a lot of things I'm excited for. And then this was a surprise on a live stream just a few days, maybe a week prior to my video, and I really wanted to talk about it. And it's cool that they've already got a prototype. I was under the understanding, I'm kind of thinking it would be months out till we saw a prototype of this, and they've already got a prototype working. So very interesting how fast they are working with this. And then here's the side profile. Now understand, super early prototype, very early. There's so much more they're going to do this. And if you have been following, it takes them several months, if not close to a year, to develop one mass vehicle to do it right. And they do a great job with them. And so far, the Red Goldwing's the only one I've handled, but I'm looking towards the Great White. Now this Purple Ray, looking really, really cool. And last I heard, they didn't even have any plan on the Hood missiles, and then they're already there. And there's the Hood missiles, and they've already sort of worked a lot of that out. I mean, probably not 100%, but they've worked out enough to have it in the prototype, so that's pretty cool and awesome. They're adding stuff that wasn't on a vintage, similar type style of vehicle, and I think they did pretty good with it so far. I mean, already this far along, this much they've got going, and they have much bigger plans for it. Now, Ramen Toy is putting out their Marshall, but there's another company making the Sheriff. There's a new Sheriff in town, and it's Dason Toys. I don't know a whole lot about Dason Toys, but they sound familiar. I'm pretty sure I've seen something else that they've made before. Now, I saw this and I felt it feels pretty cartoony, but it does seem small. It just feels like it's small. Now, I'm not going to bash it. I'm actually going to try to buy one. That's all there's to it. Why not? I mean, the more the merrier. But I'd love to see how this pans out. I've already got the Ramen Toys one bought and paid for, and I'm so looking forward to it. But with this one here, I think it looks pretty cool too. And I wouldn't mind having a couple of them. You know, a Ramen and a Dason Toys. All right, so a quick side-by-side if you want to see what they look like with the Ramen on the left and the Dason Toys on the right. And which one do you like better? And I've heard multiple people talk about it this week, and they all say the same exact thing that I'm thinking. Ramen is more of a mature, sophisticated, more detailed sculpt, and it looks like an older face sculpt. And then the Dason Toys one is looking more like a younger, maybe he's coming up the ranks kind of one. But either way, whether or not, if you're like saying, hey, why get two? Well, if you ever watch Bravestarr, there's several other characters that wore similar type costume as Bravestarr in the show, and you can just kind of fill gaps and say that it's another character. That's another option for these. But still, pretty cool to have this much Bravestarr action in 1 year. All right, in the Robo Don't Know, that's the new channel for Robo from the X from Foosh. Veebs, and I mean, what kind of name is Veebs? Is it Phoebes with an F or V with a Veebs? V, I don't know. Did an interview with Brian Flynn, and Brian Flynn said that they are no longer going to make any Simpsons or any Disney, and they're canceling both lines. Did Super 7 quit Disney? And I think yes. He didn't say anything about Disney and of course their principles or lack thereof. They cited basically poor sales, and that's really it. They're not selling, and Brian is a businessman, And that kind of leads into the question: if we don't get enough pre-orders for Thundercats, Thundercats will stop. If we don't get enough pre-orders for Dungeons and Dragons, it just won't make it over the line. This didn't make it over the line. So there's a lot of this stuff that it's the real world colliding with our collecting. And if not enough people want it, there's not enough active collectors that want it, then it's just not going to make it. But when it comes to the Disney stuff, very few people were buying it. And Disney stuff doesn't seem to sell right now. Disney Star Wars doesn't seem to sell right now. Original Trilogy Star Wars still sells. Now, I did pre-order these Dungeon & Dragon figures from BBTS. Now, I won't be getting whatever the extra special offering is. And oddly enough, I don't even have a picture of that one. But if you pre-order through them, you get an extra, like a ring and a sword and something else. But if you pre-order through Super 7's site directly. Now, what I want to say about this is that I've already made a video, so I'm not only 15 minutes to talk about it. But I think they look great. I think that you're going to have a couple of camps of people. You're going to have the people that already bought the original ones, and like, even especially if they got them on clearance, they're like, dude, I feel like I finally won somehow and got a deal. But even those people who already bought the Hasbro and don't want to spend money on the main characters and buy them in the Ultimates can get these side characters to fill theirs out, like getting the Skeleton Warrior or the 2-pack Shadow Warriors, the Shadow Demons. Anyway, getting those 2-pack and getting the Skeleton guy. I mean, it's a lot of fun. Dekion. But I'm in on all of it. I pre-ordered all of it. Doesn't it all matter to me because I've already got the original Hasbro ones. They're not great, but they look good on a shelf, and they seem to look, even though they're supposed to be like 5 or 6 inch scale, whatever, they look okay the way I display them with my LJN collection. And we have the Thundercats. That is the Wave 10 of Thundercats here, and I made a video about that too. I mean, go watch it if you want to. Here's the interesting thing. The Dungeons & Dragons video got twice as many views as the Thundercats, which kind of goes right exactly to the heart of the narrative that Brian was saying, that getting into 11, 12 waves of Thundercats, how many more people are there that even care? And I really literally just look at the number of views of an almost identical type of video, how many people really care. And it's kind of interesting to see that. And I'm not gonna lie, Brian says a lot of things that make a lot of sense. A lot of people want to talk trash about him, but he's got the pulse on his fingers on the pulse of the business, and he knows, he sees the light of the end of the tunnel on Thundercats, and I really hope he can bang out more and more obscure characters. And then somebody else gets a license, they start all over from scratch, and then what are we, 5 years later might get a new character? See, that would suck. And I like how Super 7 does things and gives us stuff like this quick pick over here. Alright, so Master of the Universe Revolution is going to be showing, I think, on Netflix on the 25th, something along those lines. Anyway, this cartoon looks interesting to me. Not that I'm going to love it or hate it, but I like the animation of it, and it's just a fun ride. And I think they kind of, or hope they learned from the first one, to not be too political in it. Just have fun with it, and hopefully it is fun. I really do hope it is fun. And with all of that, I'm going to watch it. I haven't watched the first one a second time. I didn't like it enough to watch the second time, but I liked it enough to watch the whole thing. And with this, I'm going to watch the whole thing, give it a shot. But I really am finding myself losing interest in Masters of the Universe and TMNT, oddly enough. But anyhow, I'll give it a shot. I think they call what I'm going through collector fatigue. I don't seem to get Transformer fatigue as much, but with these properties I do. So this is something new I really don't know a whole lot about. Boss Fight Studio is making a 10th anniversary Knights, and this is a preview of them. They are 1/18th scale, meaning 4-inch Knights. And I think it's quite interesting because, see, that would actually fit in really well with pretty much anything that you have that's sort of medieval times kind of stuff. So the pantheon of things that you can fit in with your vintage stuff. Like if you have vintage stuff and you want it the 4-inch or 1/18th scale. So you've got Dungeons and Dragons, you've got Dragon Riders of the Styx, and you've got a bunch of these other ones that could sort of fit in. Maybe your Arco Otherworld, things like that might work out. Or if you just like Knights. Now this is something I've absolutely no I don't know anything about at all. This is Strawberry Shortcake by Boss Fight Studio also. And they're making 6-inch scaled figures of Purple Pie Man and Sour Grapes. And this is listed under their Girls Toy News, but it's interesting, $46 each, and they look interesting. They look very cartoonish, very cartoony, and I see that they have a lot of articulation, or at least some articulation. They are action figures. They're not statues or anything like that. Pretty cool, pretty interesting if you're in on stuff like this. Alright, so do you guys remember the retro collection of Star Wars? It started with these, and then they were Walmart exclusive. They went away, and now they're back in a 6-pack box at Hasbro Pulse. There's supposed to be another wave coming, and nobody knows what it is. And there's just rumor, and so with that, it's pure speculation what it is. But I guess at this point, you could just say as soon as one wave's announced, you can start a rumor saying another wave's coming, because that seems to be what they're doing. But none of it seems to be original trilogy these days. Seems like they backed off the original trilogy for these since the Yak Face wave. I'm curious if we'll get more original trilogy stuff, but truthfully, the only reason I want retro is for original trilogy. They should do all of the original stuff, the whole 96, but they don't. But here's the weird part. The original trilogy stuff on retro sells way better than anything else that they've tried. And Grief Karga Credit Collection is on sale for $7.39, which is a cheap price over at Amazon. If you want to get that, get it at Amazon. And yeah, that is pretty cool. All right, and lastly, there's a rumor, but it's probably true, that their return of Count Dooku to the Black Series, evidently they've made him already, and they're going to put him back out in a different iteration than originally. So that's pretty cool. He's a really interesting character, and they're going to do reissues, repaints, and all that. That's kind of Hasbro and what they do these days. What do you think about this week's weekly news in review? What else is going on out there that I missed? Other cool stuff. I like to stay in the know. Like and subscribe, and Ted Hang out.